Hi, my name is Tony Armour, and I created this series of Knee Replacement Chronicles videos starting back in 2018 when I had my knee replacement at 48 years old. So I created this series of videos so that people could see what my rehab process was like and what I was doing to be able to get back, to be able to run and be active and do the things that I'd like to do again. I will say, so I'm still active, still able to run. I go to the gym, I can squat, I can deadlift, I can do the things that I want to do to be able to physically enjoy my life. And so hopefully this video about the flexibility work that I do to be able to maintain that will be helpful for you as well. I'm not a doctor, always listen to your doctor's advice, but I'm going to show you some of the things that have worked for me over this last 7 years that have been able to allow me to maintain this. One of the things that your doctor will always talk about is that range of motion in the knee. And so here we are this many years later, if I can stand on one foot, and you'll see that I can nearly get that heel to butt right there. I've got, an inch or so in difference, and I'm not warmed up, haven't stretched or done anything yet, haven't warmed myself up, but I've got that good flexibility and that good range of motion in the replacement there. So I'm just going to show you some of the flexibility things that I do to be able to maintain this range of motion, be able to maintain this quality of life that I like and staying active. All right, so one of the first things that I always do in my flexibility routine is using the foam roller. There's plenty of videos on YouTube about how to use a foam roller, the benefits of using a foam roller, so I'm not going to go over all of that. I will just say that it's an important part of it for me. It helps warm up, loosen up the muscles, work out those knots. I don't feel like I'd be able to maintain, do all the things I do if it wasn't for my consistent use of the foam roller. Everything is tied together, right? From your hips to your knees, down to your ankles. And, oh, you can just feel that. And by loosening everything up from hip to knee to ankle, it helps benefit the knee. You're gonna have greater flexibility in the knee because you have better flexibility in your hips and your ankles. Part of that flexibility is, of course, the muscles themselves, and working out those knots and loosening everything up with the foam roller, just for me, has been a huge benefit. I'm not a doctor, I'm just telling you what's worked for me over the years, and this has been a staple of being able to maintain myself. Like I said, there are a ton of foam rolling videos online, but since you're watching this one, we'll go over a couple of things real quick. One, you go slow, right? You are gonna rest on the spots where you feel a little knot or a little tension and just let it settle there until that releases, basically. You wanna cover everything from back of the legs, front of legs, quads, even the front of your shins, your tibialis right there. Rolling that spot in front of your shins helps loosen things up. The calves, of course, and even a little bit, if you just sit on this and you just literally want to roll on your glutes a little bit, because loosening up those glutes, which are tied into the hamstrings and the quads and everything else, all works together. So like I've talked about, that flexibility from the hips to the knees to the ankles are all tied together. So to be able to squat and to be able to get down into a deep squat position, it requires not just the knees being able to bend that far, but your hips have to have that flexibility as well. So your hips have to be able to sit back and drop down so that you can get into that position, so that your knees are able to get into that position. And then the same thing with the ankle. The ankle has to be able to flex and bend as well. So all of that is tied together when it comes to that knee flexibility. You want to be able to work all of that. So one of the easiest things to do is simply do like I was just doing and just squat. Whether you're doing this with no weights, you're holding a dumbbell, you're putting a barbell on your back, whatever it might be, you of course want to start simple and light and slow and easy, and you just go as far as you can go. If you can only go this far, you can only go this far. And don't try and just bend the knees. You've got to, push the hips back a little bit, get that hip flexibility, get the ankle flexibility, and be able to sit down into that squat. So part of that, you know, if you have to have a chair, use foam roller, whatever it is, depending on your age or your fitness level, to be able to support yourself while you're getting down that position. Because once you get down, sometimes you're like, oh, I can't get up, I can't get up, I gotta get out of this thing. Be able to pull yourself out of that. So just simply doing the squat, and that is part of the warm-up that I always do, is just squatting to be able to warm it up. No weight, just my body weight, just really being able to get that squat going to warm up the hips, warm up the knees, warm up the ankles, warm up the whole thing before I get into whatever additional flexibility or workout that I'm going to do. Got your basic yoga moves, even just sitting here and just rocking back and forth, warming up those hips and those knees, and be able to sit farther back. You know, it's, again, the hips are what's flexing here, but the knees are flexing as well. The more flexible those hips are, the deeper I get into the knees. So this is, I believe, called the pigeon. I'm not a yoga instructor, but it's the pigeon. And this is a tough one because, one, it's that hip, and the hips for me are some of the least flexible parts on me. And so when I'm doing this is the knee that had the knee replacement. You know, I'm trying to settle into that hip and let that hip relax, but at the same time, I can't bend that knee as far back as I can the other leg. Like, the other leg can come, you know, way back in there. It makes it a lot easier. Now, granted, part of if you add difficulty to it, is if you move that leg out a little bit and you open it up a little bit more, then it does actually make you work more in the hip and stretch that hip a little bit more. And so, like, if you can't get down this far, you know, you're just going to hold yourself up as far as you can and settle down as far as you can, and use, you know, the yoga blocks or foam rollers or whatever they can to help you slowly, you know, settle down into a little better position. So I like this one as well, because not only is it stretching out that hip for me, but it's also, I can feel it on the outside of my leg for my knee right there. And so it is definitely, you know, stretching everything around the knee as well. Again, it's not just that hip, but it's the knee at the same time. Again, other movements. Putting your, you know, you get into this kneeling position like this. Some people can't kneel on the knee replacement knee. This is my non-knee replacement knee. This is the knee replacement knee. I can kneel on the knee replacement knee, and I do actually, you know, fairly often. I've got a pad here, I've got a rug underneath it, so you want to have a little bit of padding, of course, whether it's your knee replacement or not, just to alleviate, you know, any kind of pressure or pain on that. But I like to just get down into this position and just let that hip drop forward, right? Let that hip drop forward. I'm actually bending the knee replacement knee. And so, all tied together, hips, knees, ankles, flexibility. I like to get into here, open up a little bit more if you can. Again, me, this is hitting the hips and everything else, but that knee is flexed at the same time. It's all connected. And that's a big part of what I do, is just trying to work the full interconnectivity of all of the muscles, again, all the way down, to be able to maintain and help the knee. So it's not just try to bend the knee. You're doing everything else that's tied together with it, depending on how low you can get into a squat. Once you get into that squat, going through here, here, or here, getting into that squat position, and then just walking. Try to take slow steps in that squat position, right? So this is it in my hips, this is it in the knees, the ankles. It's that flexibility with all of that. So move forward with it, and then try and go backwards. And I like to do this, you can do it at home here, or you can do it at the gym as well, where you've got more space. And I go 10 steps forward, 10 steps back, try and maintain, hold into that squat position. And again, just and as I'm doing this, I can literally feel myself being able to get deeper and deeper and deeper. You can hold yourself with your hands, putting your elbows in the back of the arms and your inner thighs right there to take the pressure off. And just be able to settle into those hips and really stretch it out. Knee replacement knee here. Loosening that right there. It's also the calves and Achilles on the opposite side. How far can you go before that back heel comes off the ground? Get down into that position. Again, bend at the hip, that's the hip flexibility, and then being up at the knee. And now you can see that's a pretty good, I'm pretty close right there, right? Like I can get, ooh, see, I can see it's been 7 years later, and I still gotta work on this. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to do it. So pretty close to having that, the hamstring onto the calf. Again, knee replacement side right here, that flexibility there, then I can obviously come down much farther, maybe not much farther, but farther on the opposite side. So I'm not fully the same on the knee replacement side as the non-side. So I'm continuing to work that, trying to continue to work on that flexibility, trying to work on loosening all that up. There's another one I got from Knees Over Toes guy, is to put your knee onto the floor and the top of your foot against the back wall. And you're up like this, stretching this, bending that knee, trying to get that knee back to that butt. Doesn't matter where you're at, if you're way down here, if you're coming back here, trying to get up. You can see that it's almost there. Hand up, and I like to lean over. Let this relax, right? The more this relaxes, the more you're able to relax in the knee. Like to do the arm up, like to lean over to the side, more of a stretch all through here. Works the whole side. Just do as much as I can that way. So that is really just a handful of exercises that I like to do in flexibility work to be able to hit ankles, knees, and the hips so that you can loosen it all up, strengthening those knees. Hope you found this useful. If you want to see anything about the previous knee replacement videos that I did, go back, check out the playlist from the very beginning, from literally getting out of surgery all the way to this point. You can see my background and the progress that I've made from having to use a cane, crutches, coming out of surgery, all the way to now. Thanks for watching.